Kedves kilencedikesek, a középkor után elkezdjük a magyar történelmet, hiszen a középkort már elvittük egészen a reneszánsz időszakáig, most a magyar történetet kell elvinnünk a reneszánsz uralkodóig, Mátyásig, úgyhogy itt kezdődik az egész. The new great title in which we are going to put into topics is called History of the Hungarians, and of course now we are talking about the Middle Ages. But first of all, the first topic within this is the origin and the migration of the Magyars. I call them Magyars. This might sound funny, but actually this is the name of the nation, and until they settle down, we should call them Magyars, I believe. But if you use Hungarians, it is also very good to use, okay? So first of all, I have to talk about some ambiguity of scientific fields, because how do we know anything about the Magyars? We know that these people lived somewhere in Asia, in the Far East, and they were coming towards the Carpathian Basin soon. But as you see, different scientific fields had different solutions. So there is also, of course, linguists. Linguists believe that Hungarian language is connected to the Finno-Ugric languages because the most connections can be found here, and they are looking for the words we use and their stems, their origins. The archaeologists are those people who dig the ground and find objects, and if they find objects, they try to make these objects, they try to put these objects into some groups. They want to find any connections with other cultures, and here they sometimes believe that we are very close to some other nations which have nothing to do with the Finno-Ugric people. And there is also historiography. Historiography is the science which is looking for written documents and looking for those documents that maybe Hungarians wrote or Magyars wrote. Actually, I can tell you we don't have anything written because people in the steppes didn't write. So historiographic is looking for texts which are written about Magyars or Hungarians, and in these texts they are looking for anything that which makes us connected to something. So here in the middle it's written that these three really important fields of sciences have ambiguous ideas. So I think what we should put down in our notes is that the origin of Hungarians or the Magyars, we have different scientific researches which give ambiguous answers. Linguistics, archaeology, and historiography are really important, and I give this a capital H. These are important fields of sciences, but they cannot agree. There is the major debate, you should remember, that Hungarians are about the Finno-Ugric people or the Turkish. Because today more and more scientists believe that Hungarians are closer to the Turkish people and Turkish origin than we had thought before. What is absolutely true is that our language is Finno-Ugric. We cannot have a debate about that. But Turkish connections are really strong, so somewhere these people met in the Asian steppes. And here, in this map, the Finno-Ugrian languages as a tree, which are coming from the very far east, crossing the Ural Mountains, and these languages settled down. People like the Finnish and the Estonians also, we have the common stem. But look, Hungarian belongs to the Finno-Ugrian languages and its Ugrian side, and here the Magyars. So actually this is why we call ourselves some kind of family members or relation with the Finnish people. But as you see, they are very far, so we cannot understand each other. So this is what happened, and on the same map, the Hungarians started their migration towards the Carpathian Basin here. I'm going to talk about that because that is more important for us. Well, what happened? The migration of the Magyars came, and when we know first that they are the Magyars is when they crossed the Ural Mountains. The Ural Mountains is really important because this is a kind of borderline between Far Asia and European territories. And then the Hungarians came. The red line shows the Hungarians here. They settled down in first Bashkiria, going to speak about it, Levadia, and Etelköz. And then after these three stages, they moved towards the Carpathian Basin. They moved to settle down here, and that is what we call land taking, honfoglalás. Okay, so let's talk about the beginning of our migration. What is true is that, or actually this is what, it's not true, it's not written anywhere. This is a kind of idea of the most accepted idea, that the migration of the Magyars was between 500 BC and 500 AD. As you see, it was still there with the Roman Empire and until the end of the Roman Empire. So they were migrating in Asia together with a lot of peoples. And in the Asian steppes, please use this word because this is huge fields with mostly grasses and such. We call them steppes. This is where animals live, and with other peoples they lived. Similar cultures. Finally, the Magyars passed the Ural mountain, and this is when they settled down in Bashkiria, and we are absolutely aware of the fact that Hungarians lived here. This territory, Bashkiria, is also known as Magna Hungarian Latin. They settled down here by 500 AD. Magyars arrived and settled down in this is the Volga region. So please remember, I'm talking about this territory now. This is the river Volga, and this is the territory. Let's go on. Several new words they knew here, numbers, food names, and such. And really important that later, in the 13th century, Brother Julianus found here remainings of Magyars. He was sent by the Hungarian king Béla IV, Andrew II and Béla IV, father and son, to find Hungarian remainings. And they could speak. So he came from here to Magna Hungaria, and he found here some remainings of Hungarians. This is fantastic. Let's go on. So Bashkiria was the first place to settle down. Going on, we are going to Levadia. Levadia is the next territory here, really close to the Khazarian Empire. So Levadia, most of them moved on to the Don region because this is called the Don region. Look at here, River Don and River Volga are meeting here. They are coming closer. This is why I call it the Don region. And they were under the dominance of the Khazarian state. This was a more developed state. They learned a lot of new knowledge. Let's see. For example, the Khazarian Empire was a dual principality. They had two leaders. So Hungarians began to use this. So they chose a Kende and a Gyula. Gyula was the real leader, some kind of political leader, while Kende was a spiritual leader. This was used for another 100 or 150 years. They learned agricultural techniques because Khazarians had advanced agriculture. They learned how to use the heavy plow or how to use some different tools. And according to scientists, traditional Hungarian writing developed here. This is what we call Róvásírás. From Levadia, they had to move on, and they moved to Etelköz. This is the next territory. So Bashkiria after that, Levadia, where they learned a lot of things, and Etelköz. This is the territory between the Don River and the Carpats, the Dniester and the Dnieper rivers as well. This is a huge territory. They had to move on. How? There was a conflict with Khazaria, so they had to move. There were inner fights and the Magyars were driven away. So this territory is called between rivers. Etelköz, this is how they use. Okay, this was a huge steppe territory without natural places to hide. There were no mountains and there were no any other places to hide. So this is why the Magyars had to cooperate. They had to ally. And at that time there were already 7 tribes, and these 7 tribes needed to rely on each other. So they started a kind of alliance. This is what we call the blood treaty. In this picture, this is the blood treaty where they let some of their blood, I mean the chieftains of these tribes, the chieftains let their blood into a container. This is called a riton, egy ivókürt-szerű dolog. And this was the meaning of their alliance. So this is how they arrived really close to the Carpathian Basin. Next time we are talking about how they invaded the Carpathian Basin. Feladatot tehát azt, hogy kezdjük meg az új témakör jegyzetelését egy új nagy címmel, a magyarok története középkorban. Tankönyvedben is megtalálod ezt az időszakot, légy szíves, olvasd el, itt nagyon sok elmélettel foglalkozunk. Én nem mentem bele annyira ezekbe az elméletekbe, hogy milyen nyelvészeti és régészeti elméletek vannak. Szeretném, hogyha ezt végignéznétek. Ami nekem nagyon kell, ez a 3 ős haza működése. Használd ezt a diát és a tankönyvet, és csatolok nektek egy szószedetet, ami a magyar történelemtanításhoz lesz könnyű, ezt én csináltam, és ez a szószedet, ez végigmegy kronológiai sorrendbe, és a fontos magyarsággal kapcsolatos angol szavakat végigveszi. Ezt is csatolom nektek majd. Tehát a szószedetet végig, érettségig kell használni, ezért majd jól töltsétek le az eszközeitekre, hogy bármikor meg tudjátok nézni, ha szükség van rá.